Welcome back, guys, and today we are in SnowRunner and we have dropped in to TNB Trails in the MegaRamRunner because we're going to answer the question of whether this thing can actually rock crawl or not. Now, in the real world, this truck has done some rock crawling level obstacles in terms of like the original build of this truck. Now, when the Diesel brothers built this truck, it was based off of a 2012 Ram. Now, this one is obviously based off of a Ram that's a little bit newer than that, a 5th gen. However, that's not going to stop me from seeing if I can replicate some real world rock crawling with a truck like this. And we're going to see if it actually gets tied up or twisted up because it's so incredibly long, or if it's actually able to monster some of these obstacles. So we're going to do a build that will hopefully keep it fairly accurate to what we saw on the show, obviously apart from this one being a 5th gen, and we're going to try and get the color right. We're going to try to make the tires fairly realistically spec'd, and we're going to try and make the tune fairly realistically spec'd as well. Now, we're going to actually leave the, let's do the Trail Rider HD. Now, that's going to make about 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, which is fairly realistic for a tuned 6.7 liter Cummins engine to make. Now, gearbox-wise, we're going to do the Trail Rider 5-speed, and suspension-wise, we're going to do probably the Mega Crawler trail spec, or rather just the Mega Crawler in general. And tires-wise, now, stock-ish is going to be a really interesting... I'm going back and forth between stock-ish and redline grip. I think we're actually going to do the 55-inch stock-ish because, like I said before, we're going to keep this fairly realistic. So, bed stacks for, should we do max smoke? I'll tell you what, I've never done the max smoke, so we'll go with that because I feel like that's going to be pretty accurate to what this thing did at one point in the real world. Now, I'm thinking suspension and, well, we'll just do goodies max. And then we'll do the Fusion front bumper, we'll do the light bar, we'll do the rock sliders, but we won't do the roof rack. Now, everything that has, like, an animated section like the hood or the tailgate, we're going to leave that alone. And then wheels-wise, we're actually going to do the Armory beadlock, and then we're going to paint it kind of a dark gray, somewhat similar to what it had on the show. Now, at this point, I think it's time to fire it up, get it out to one of the best rock crawling trails on this entire map, and see what it can do. Oh my god, the high smoke is like, when you go with the high smoke stacks, like, that option really is just smoke all the time. There's nothing about that option that isn't smoke all the time. And I've got to tell you, the Trail Rider tunes for the engine and the transmission are very easily manageable to drive. And they're not slow by any means, but they definitely have a non-over-the-top feel. They definitely have kind of a feel where you can just be almost full throttle all the time and never really worry about overpowering the truck, overpowering the terrain. And again, I have these stock-ish tires on it as well. These are not over-the-top tires. These are not like, drive up a 90-degree wall type tire. These are a tire that should be a little bit more grippy than something that you would find on a vanilla truck, but still within that realm of game balance and realism. Now, the trail that we're going to use is a trail that I've used to test a lot of other vehicles before. It's a trail that's got some tricky sections, but it shouldn't be too over the top for this truck. It is going to be a little tight, though, and that's going to be this truck's biggest challenge, to see if it can make its way through some of the tighter areas of this trail while being so long. Now, the rear steer is going to help it out a lot, but it's still going to be a challenge, and there's the trail right there. So let's see, it's 9:50 a.m. in game, and let's see what this thing can do once we throw it into low plus and head up the rock crawling trail. It's still got quite a bit of grip. I mean, it might not be the grippiest setup in the world, but if you want to do some realistic trail riding and rock crawling, a setup like this is definitely going to be the right one for you to run. Now, I'm going to have to let it roll back just a tad to work the front axle around to where it can pop itself up over this ledge. Now, tires like this are going to have their most grip, like the utmost grip they're going to have is going to be when you're going forward. So let's see. Oh, wow, it is really not happy about that, is it? It really needs to be reworked in terms of where we've put the front axle. Come on. It's going to need to be bumped or something because, man, these tires really are pretty dang close to what you would find on a vanilla truck, and it definitely shows on a trail like this, but if you're really, really deliberate with your line choice, you can get it up and over some of these rocks. And honestly, when you... Whoa! 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 I think the bed got caught in the rocks. I think the bed got caught in the rocks. That was a glitch on the game's part. And I'm going to go ahead and give this truck like a free repair because of that. But let me see if I can just make this thing find grip just enough to make its way up and over these rocks. I know I had a little bit of a winch pull there, but I think honestly, I'm kind of regretting going with these, going with the non-red line tires because I feel like they're actually not even as grippy as a real tire would be. Now, that's the stockish single military runner. Now, the red line single military runner is probably going to be a better choice, honestly. I mean, I feel like that's going to be the one that'll be a lot more realistically tuned for how this truck would actually do. Let's see. Let's see what the difference looks like. Because originally I was like, well, I'll go for the one that seems closer to Vanilla Game. And then I realized Vanilla Game tires are not supposed to go over rocks like this, and the red line is going to perform a lot more realistically. It's already performing a lot more realistically, I can tell you that. It's got actual grip on rocks now. That's a big difference. Come on. The beauty of having a tire this large is that you don't really ever have to worry too much about approach and departure angles, although what you do have to worry about is the length of the vehicle on turns like this. Now, the rear steer actually helps a ton, and I didn't think we were going to be able to get around that turn, but it actually was. Come on, it's trying really hard just to find a hair of traction, and it finds it. It definitely finds it. You can plan out your lines a lot differently than you would before when you're running a wheelbase this long, and initially that seems like it might be a bad thing, but once you get used to it, it's actually not terrible because you have so much ground that you can cover between the front axle and the rear axle. It's insane, really. Come on, don't roll it. Ooh, okay, I had to ninja winch grab it there. That was a little bit iffy, and I am well aware that that would have been a rollover if I was doing this winchless. Let's make our way up and around this hairpin. The hairpins are going to be probably our biggest issue spot. Come on. There you go. Once you get it up and over the rocks, if the front tires are spinning but the rears are turned and they're still gripping, it'll actually turn the rear of the truck kind of by itself, which can help you out of a lot of different jammed up scenarios, actually. Come on. There it is. I was able to find it. It took a little bit of playing around with the front and rear ends of the truck, but it was able to do a good job on it. I'm actually really impressed. Like, other than purely driver error so far, this thing has really done an awesome job. Other than driver error, and then that one weird game error that we had right at the beginning of the trail. God, I just love the way this thing looks with the super singles as well. I know there are a lot of people that much prefer this truck with the dualies, but man, I gotta tell you, like, if you're going for accuracy in terms of the TV show, the super singles really are where it's at. Bring it around. All right, this spot's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna try to attack it in low because we're dealing with a very tight, tricky section where there's plenty of room for us to fall. There we go. It kind of like, it tips the truck to the side, but just barely enough to where, like, we can still get it under control. Yo, the amount of times we have hovered a tire in the air is, like, it's next level. The amount of times we've, like, tripoded this thing. And can you imagine how insane this thing would feel to tripod in real life? I mean, you're working with 55-inch tires, so much lift, I don't even know how many inches it is, a 6-door mega cab, and a frame about the length of a bus. I mean, tripoding this thing in real life would be actually legitimately terrifying. And honestly, I don't know if I'd actually want to tripod this truck in real life. It would definitely take some doing. It would take a lot of getting used to the chassis and take a lot of getting used to the weight balance. Because if you make one slip up, one mistake, you can't exactly just replace it and get a new one. You would have to rebuild the entire truck. And I mean, I don't know how long this thing took to build in real life, but I doubt anybody would want to go through that process, because that's one heck of a process. Not bad at all. Oh, this uphill one is going to be gnarly. There it goes. Come on. I'll give it a celebratory horn honk if we make it up to the top. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Yes! Dude, this thing is so good. This thing is so good. And it never, ever, ever lets up. Like, it never lets up, no matter what it's doing. And gaps like that, it's so long that it just basically straddles the whole gap. Although spots like this, we might high center it. No, it was actually able to pull itself through. That is super impressive. And there is literally never any lack of smoke from the high smoke exhaust option. I mean, that is literally about as smoky as you could ever get. Is it going to go for second? Oh, it's not going to go for high range, though. Wow, when I went to go for high range, all it did was immediately stalled out and cut the engine off. That was really close. This is probably going to be one of the most challenging spots for this truck on the entire trail, so let's see what she could do. It's trying. It's trying really hard. I have a feeling that as long as I bump it the right way and I get the front axle to find traction, I'll be good to go. But it's just finding that sweet spot where the truck is actually happy. I'm trying to turn the rear as well at the same time. And it wasn't really all that happy about either of those scenarios. Let's see, second gear. Oh, high gear was possible. Although it's just spinning. I'm going to try and see if I can, like, move the steering around, get it to grab. Or at least grab on something. Oh, man, I think this might be, without a winch, I think this might have it. Like, I don't know about that. And there's really no other alternate route either. Like, you can go around the outside, but that's kind of a one-way ticket to falling off the edge of the cliff. So that might be the extent of where this truck goes on this trail, obviously without going for the cheater tires. And I'm sure that, like, if I really worked with the positioning of the truck, we could get it over that obstacle. But that was the first point at which it became really, really difficult, even with the red line tire options. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to y'all later, and I hope you guys enjoyed.